Tearlaments is coming to Master Duel, and this is gonna have incredible impact on the game.
This week, Master Duel received some of the most frightening cards ever printed on cardboard.
Come on, man, what's with these chain links, bro? It's my turn!
The simplest turn 1 game state in Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys think Dragon Ruler format was bad, or Resolving Dimension Fusion, or Return from a Different Dimension?
What the hell is...
What's it look like, Jack? It's Tearlaments.
Oh no, Sleepy Joe, what are you doing?
I'm playing Tearlaments. What's it look
What
like?
are you, a Redditor?
Kid Glows, goodbye! See you later, bozo. I would never want to see you again.
Tearlaments is coming and we all need to calm down. Tearlaments is going to be most likely the best deck in Master Duel when it comes out, and it's a few weeks from now. It's a deck that completely changed Yu-Gi-Oh! As we know it. It's been tier 0 in both TCG and OCG formats, and even with no support at all, the core itself is already strong as it is. Unfortunately, we can't even brew with the deck as much as we could in TCG, like when we tried Casino tier and it actually worked out. The Shizu support is already out, so we all know what the best build is going to be. After a year though, we have identified the problem cards, which are Kalos, Havness, or discarding an Earth Fairy, Elf reviving Merly or Diviner during your opponent's turn. So, with all of this in mind, are we sure it's going to be tier 0 in Master Duel? If we want to answer that question, we need to consider some factors. Dark Queen Blast supports probably won't be coming, and Dark Queen Blast support is important because it has Okalos, which is an extra negate, and Tearlaments Scream, which on the graveyard searches a Tearlaments trap card, and on the field lets you mill during your opponent's turn. Plus, Dark Queen Blast also had Sprite Sprint, which basically just reads foolish exactly merely. However, we kind of cannot be certain that it won't be coming. One thing that leads me to believe this is the fact that Lightheart, a card from Power of the Elements, came out way before Power of the Elements cards started to come out of Master Duel. However, I recognize that this thesis is a little fragile. In fact, it's really fragile, because Scareclaw is a deck that isn't really playable without Lightheart. It kind of dies without Lightheart, so it made sense at the time releasing Lightheart. But we also had cards like Mathmech Circular, which led Mathmech to be the best deck for a couple of formats in Master Duel, and Linkage, which did basically anything for Striker, but it was here way before it was in the TCG. They basically released at the same time. This doesn't really answer the question though. Will Tearlaments be tier 0? It's really hard to tell. I'm not making this video because I have the answer, but because I am trying to lead the few people that want to see this video to actually ponder this thought. Master Duel is a weird format where OCG and TCG playstyles meet together, and with the release schedule being slightly different but slightly enough to make an impact on the meta, the formats aren't really solved until they are basically over, which is a bad thing or a good thing depending on who you ask. We also need to consider that Master Duel is a best of 1 format, meaning that whoever goes first has a significantly stronger advantage than the person going second, unless the person who's going second is playing a strategy that wants to go second. Another point which we need to bring out is that Maxi is legal, and although I'm one of the few people who don't think Maxi is that toxic in the game, it's going to be pretty good in Tearlaments, as the deck can basically pay 3 to 4 archetypal hand traps which gives it a kind of a huge advantage if they get to resolve Maxi and draw into those archetypal hand traps, which is something that basically no other deck can do, and feels really unfair, even for someone who supports Maxi being in the format. Even if the Dark Queen Blast support doesn't come out, the deck can still make plays. A lot of plays, in fact. During your opponent's turn, you can build a monster that spins 1 card, a field spell which pops 1 card, and possibly a way to negate 2 monster effects via Jagostepeli and Saliak, which is all very consistent, like absurdly consistent. And we have one final point. There's a 99% chance that Bestials will not be in the game when Tearlaments will first be. Bestials were a crucial part of the Tier 0 format, as they basically read, blank out one Tearlaments that wants to resolve from the graveyard. And just like that, they lost the name. So there was really this kind of mind game you had to make with your opponents, trying to bait out certain names, being aware that some of them would not resolve and some other will, remembering who Kid Kalos has to send for her effect, or Reinhardt has to send for his effect, and so on and so forth. All of this completely jumps out of the window, because with this information, the best hand trap will probably be Didicro, which is just Didicro. He doesn't search himself, he can't be called by the grave, and you have just 3 copies of him. Then you're done. And he will probably be followed by Ghost Bell, which is, again, not ideal, because you can only chain her to an effect that actually moves the card from the graveyard, so if they chain block it, you're basically sitting with a dead card in your hand. And again, she can actually be called by, and again, you are only playing 3 copies. So I guess that this video can be interpreted as, hey guys, it's going to be alright, Tearlaments won't be the tier 0 we all fear, it's gonna be fine, don't worry. But I am not a wizard and I cannot see the future. I am basing my reasoning on information I feel are correct, and I am no one to assure anyone that the format will not be tier 0. However, if the format turns out to be a tier 0, I think the game won't die. First of all, this is not the first tier 0 that a Yu-Gi-Oh format experiences, and it most likely won't be the last. Plus, we have something unique to our format, which is monthly ban lists. Every month the meta is shaken in some way, shape or form. Some months the meta is unrecognizable from the last month, and some months it's basically the same thing, but now some random card is by some reason at 2. Even if we do have a long-lasting tier 0 format, I think that the player base has seen basically anything. Yu-Gi-Oh survived Gunblood Dragon looping 4 cards out of your opponent's hand, and we survived Firewall FTK, so I really don't think that we can get any lower than those formats. And finally, some players, including myself, are not really that bothered by the idea of a tier 0 format that actually requires skill expression during gameplay. What can be annoying though is that you can only express skill by playing Tearlaments and nothing else. But again, even though I am not really allowed to express my skill in any way, I am at least able to express my skill in some way, unlike some previous formats which were like a coin toss simulator where you actually just picked your hand, saw a bunch of Emancipator names, make a billion negates and called it a day. So really, whatever the scenario is for the future of Master Duel, it's going to be fine. First of all, it's just a game and we're supposed to have fun and not doomsaying 24/7. Even if you are taking Master Duel that seriously, then don't worry, it's going to be over soon, I guess. And for everything else, just keep waiting and power creep will do its thing. But where is Dota in all of this? Well, I haven't really touched the game in almost over a year, and I don't intend on doing so. Dota has become way too toxic for me, way too unbearable to play, and I'm probably not gonna play it ever again. I am sorry to the 3 people that cared. I don't think anyone cares at all. I basically don't have any subs. I don't know who I am talking to right now. If me not posting any more Dota videos is upsetting, I am sorry, and thank you really for sticking around.